swimsuits. Her hair wet with the rain. She dries it with a towel she produces from her backpack. The kettle's on and I make some hot chocolate. Knowing the thing I've got about wet hair, Fiona glances to the bed, then realises that my level of sickness excludes me from grabbing her and throwing her on it. You're shivering, pet. You should go and see the doctor. Can I tell you something? As soon as her pupils expand and she says, "Of course, Mark, what is it?" I know that I can't tell her what I want to, but in order to conceal the fact, I have to tell her something equally profound and important. My wee brother, I hear myself say, almost shocked at my own voice, like somebody else in the room's grassed us up. I've never told anybody this before. She nods, wrapping her hair up in the towel and picking up the steaming mug. She looks like yon jilted bird in the Nescafe advert, some poor wee teen actress right who never made it. He's got big A's anyway. I clear my throat as she coils into the lotus position on the chair. Wee Davy, I sort of worked out. He had this thing about Mary Marcus, who reads the Scottish news on telly. You might have seen her. She's got, I suppose you'd call them Italian eyes, dark with loads of makeup, big attention to the eyeliner and bright red lipstick. I think I know the one you mean, Pet. In the evening. Aye, that's her. Well, I sort of noticed that wee Davy used to get a sniffer when she read to camera. He'd get agitated. His breathing would change, become deeper. And you couldn't really miss what was going on in these pyjama or tracksuit bottoms. Fiona nods understandingly. There's a red mark on her jeans at the knee that I haven't seen before. Probably paint from some workshop with the kids. I used to have to watch them around tea time on a Friday. I finished work early. My ma worked part-time in the Whisky Bonds office, and Dad would be buying stuff for his stall in the market. When the Scottish news came on, I'd see Davy stare at the screen, his cock visibly erect, and I started to think, he's fucking 15 years old, the poor wee bastard. Ken what I mean? Yes, Fiona said, sadly, but analytically, like he's got a sexuality, but no outlet for it. Exactly, I exhaled, just so relieved that somebody fucking well understood. So I decided that I'd wank him off. Fiona's eyes briefly hit the floor, then rise to meet mine. I can't tell what's in them. Her lips pressed tightly together. She's not telling me to carry on, but she's not telling me to stop. I take a deep breath. So I did. It seemed to comfort him. Oh, Mark. I know, it's my brother and it's a sexual thing, so it wasn't a sensible move. I can see that now. At the time though, I was just thinking about alleviating his distress, like when I used to slap his back with the postural drainage to help drain the fluid off his chest cavity. So I did it. The poor wee bastard went fucking crazy and blew off a load in what seemed like a split second. Then he fell into a contented doze. I'd never seen him so at peace. I'd clean him up and he'd have the best kip of his life. So I thought, well, no harm done. What happened? She unravels herself and lowers the mug to the floor, her eyes never leaving mine. He grew to expect it. Autistic kids are programmed to routine, like clockwork. Meals the same time, bed the same time. It became sort of his Friday 6 o'clock treat. If he hadn't had his other physical issues, he'd have been constantly doing it for himself, all day and all night. But then, the other days when the news was on, he'd look at the screen, then at me, and shout, and emulate that horrible cry, "Mary! Mary!" Of course, I couldn't help him out, with everybody else being in the house. Fiona's expression is now decidedly one of distaste. She sat stiff and cross-legged in the chair. They all thought he was shouting, "Marky!" and found it touching. Only he and I knew he was shouting, "Mary!" I explained. And Fiona's now so still, it nerves me. Do you think I was wrong? No, she says hesitantly. Of course not, pet. It's just could you not tell him about your daddy? We don't have that sort of relationship. It's my parents. A pensive nod as Fiona picks up the mug and cradles it in her strong hands. Well, I kept on wanking him off every Friday to the image of Mary on the box. It wasn't easy. Things got more difficult. She'd be reading in the studio and it'd be about to blow. Then they'd cut to an outside broadcast and he'd crumble, start to scream, and sometimes go into a cough. It went on like this. It got so to get him off, you really had to go for it. Well, one day I forgot about our Billy getting home on leave from the army in Belfast. Didn't hear him sneak in the way he used to do to surprise Mama. And he came up behind us on the couch just as Mary appeared back on screen. Fiona's eyes widened. So he caught you doing this to your daddy, your Billy. Worse. Wee Daddy's knob exploded and he shot off a wad that flew into the air and Billy cocked a fucking lot of it like a party streamer down his face and the front of his army uniform. Fiona's hand goes to her mouth. Oh my God! Oh Mark! What happened? He hauled me and Davy apart, dragged me off the couch and booted me in the side. I got up and even though I got a couple of licks in, it took a bit of doing. Wee Davy was screaming. The neighbours heard the racket and Mrs. McGoldrick next door banged on the front door, threatening to call the police, which probably saved me for a real pattern. We both calmed down. When my man and dad came back, they kent we'd been fighting, so they quizzed us, and we each told our sides of the story. It started raining outside. I can hear it crackle on the window pane. What did they say? They more or less took his part. They called me a twisted, clarty little fucker. I'd no long left school. I couldn't articulate what was getting at by doing that for him. Disabled people's right to sexuality, I punched my chest as if she's questioned me, but she's staying silent, nodding in some kind of sympathy. But through her silence, I suddenly tipple how it all looks. I know that if she had a disabled sister, the last thing on God's earth Fiona would contemplate doing would be giving the lassie a frig over, say, some actor on television. For the first time, I have to acknowledge that, on some level, I might be a totally sick cunt, or at least misguided. My voice drops in an anguished plea. He was in torment. I was only trying to give the poor wee fucker some release. It's not as if I got any kicks from it. For a while, Fiona gazed out of the fading light at me, almost blankly, but her face had the composure of someone perfectly at peace. Can't you tell him that now? Your mum and dad. I've tried it once or twice, but it's never been the right time. Besides, I think their minds are made up about me. She blows out through tight lips. Why don't you write him a letter? Set it down in black and white. I don't know, Fee. It'd be like I was making merrier than there was, I say, suddenly feeling sick and tired, slumping back in the chair, then falling forward, wrapping my arms around myself. It obviously means something to them, though, Mark, and to you, but you wouldn't be telling me about it. I know, I say, looking up at her in shabby defeat. I'll think about it. Thanks for listening. Of course, love. Fiona acknowledged my sweating and twitching. I'll get off then, pet. Let you get some sleep, she cooed, rising and touching my sweaty forehead with her palm, then kissing it. Her arms around me felt heavy and constricting, and I was relieved when she departed. As soon as a decent couple of minutes had passed, I was downstairs to the payphone, calling sick boy at Montgomery Street. I went on a rant, telling him about Don, asking him what he was doing about gear. He told me, "You've no interest in anything but smack." When protests seemed pointless and futile, I realised for the first time that this statement was basically true. And that was what made me think, you really need to stop this. I never registered anything else instead until the pips went. You're going to have to stop this right now, or you're going to fuck everything up. Thank you very much for listening to me.